Mr. President, Excellencies, dear colleagues, we share a common cause to fight corruption. Corruption endangers the stability and security of our societies, undermines public trust and institutions, triggers human rights abuses, threatens sustainable development. Money lost to corruption cannot go to schools, education and hospitals. The vulnerable suffer most. Subject to sexual extortion and bribery, women suffer disproportionately. Corruption facilitates organized crime. Criminals use money to buy information, buy people, buy power. In the European Union, more than 60% of criminal networks engage in corruption. From slipping an official a few banknotes to multi-million euro payoffs. We are fighting criminals with a new EU strategy against organized crime to improve law enforcement cooperation, information exchange and innovation. We are preparing new asset recovery rules to take money from criminals and give it back to victims and to society. Every euro we take from criminals can't be used for bribes and kickbacks. During this pandemic, we've seen a wave of COVID-related crime and COVID corruption. Fake face masks, vaccines and ventilators. Public procurement scams and theft of aid worth millions. But also bribes to avoid quarantines and overcharging for medical services. Endangering access to vaccines and life-saving healthcare. COVID corruption costs lives, and that is totally unacceptable. We need every euro, every cent for recovery. Every single euro of European funds designed for recovery must go to rebuilding our societies, economies, and healthcare systems. We are taking drastic steps to ensure that not a cent ends up in the pockets of the wrong people. To protect the financial interest of the European Union, our member states must put in place strong measures to prevent fraud, corruption, and conflicts of interest. Our latest weapon in the fight against corruption is the European Public Prosecutor's Office, which can investigate, prosecute, and bring to justice crimes against the EU budget, complementing the administrative investigations of our anti-fraud office, OLAF. The European Public Prosecutor's Office started its work in June. In a few short months, it has dealt with more than 1,700 criminal reports, opened 300 criminal investigations, into an estimated 4.5 billion euro in losses to the EU budget. And we can only fight corruption by upholding the rule of law. Robust institutions, independent and impartial legal systems, pluralistic media, strong investigative journalism, and an engaged society are essential to investigate and root out corruption. The rule of law is central to our union. We expect our member states to uphold it, amongst others with the European Rule of Law mechanism, which monitors, develops, defends and promotes the rule of law in the EU. And we expect our potential future member states to uphold the rule of law. Clear progress in the fight against corruption is essential for progress towards EU membership. As explicitly recognized by the UN Convention Against Corruption, we can only fight corruption with the help of civil society, which helps to keep the public sector honest, transparent, and accountable. It undermines our joint fight against corruption to block certain non-governmental organizations from taking part in this conference, including organizations from the European Union. This is a matter of great concern. The unfounded accusations against EU-based organizations are completely unacceptable. The EU counts on all parties to the Convention to support and involve civil society in the fight against corruption at all times. Mr. President, Corruption is a global threat against society. We can only fight this as a global community. The EU strongly supports the work of the UN Office on Drugs and Crime in its leading role in this global struggle. Between 2014 and 2020, the EU and its member states dedicated a total of €770 million worldwide to prevent and combat corruption. This year, the European Union launched its implementation review under the UN Convention Against Corruption, demonstrating our continued commitment. The EU calls on all states parties: make the best possible use of all global and regional instruments at your disposal, above all the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Do everything you can. With the world still in the grip of the pandemic and the global need for recovery, the urgency to fight corruption is greater than ever.